GMV episode 52. I'm Luke.
I'm Joe.
And we're back at it, man. So what's going on out in Colorado?
Not much,
what's
man.
good this week?
Well, things actually been pretty damn good this week. My birthday was on Tuesday, so that was a good start to the week.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Be honest with you, I had no idea it was your birthday, and I don't feel bad that I didn't know. You know what I mean? It's
No.
your birthday, but still, like, good for you. I'm sure it was a good time.
Hell yeah, it was. I got a fucking badass girl. She surprised the hell out of me. Like, I had no clue about it. I mentioned that I wanted to go to a Joe Rogan show a while ago, and she got me fucking second row tickets to fucking Joe Rogan at, I think it's the Bellevue in Denver, which is dope.
Fuck yeah, man! On that tour, what's he calling it? Is it like Strange
Times?
Yeah. That's fucking awesome, man. I mean, you sent me the picture of that ticket. I was amped just when I saw it. Like that's
dude,
I
was
wait
fucking so pumped. Like as soon as I got the ticket, honestly, I was pretty pumped. Gave myself a moment, and then I text you. Like I was like, fucking hell yeah.
Man, I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, I wonder if we could do one whole episode of this without dick riding Rogan hard, and clearly not. So if we ever do that, it won't be this one. So,
dude, I have to say, I was even emotionally taken a little bit because I was so surprised that I got second row tickets to Rogan. You know what I mean? Especially the way we talk about him and shit. And I haven't been. I think when I was younger, been to a stand-up comedy show, but for my first one, like legitimate, I'm glad it's Rogan for sure.
Dude, we're Rogan disciples, man.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
A lot of other people. It just is what it is. So, yeah, that's going to be awesome. I've never been to a live stand-up comedy show that I can remember. I might have been to, like, some corny shit when I was younger.
Yeah, that's all I was at. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be cool. And just in terms of Rogan's comedy, man, that's, in the past, honestly, that's my least favorite part of it, all the content that guy puts out. I never thought he was like a top-rate comedian. I'm just being honest. But over the last few years, each special, because I still, like, I'm going to watch his special and stuff because I'm such a big fan of the podcast. Yeah. They just get better and better. Like, he really is.
Trigger was great. Trigger, I think it was Trigger on Netflix. That thing was fucking hilarious.
That was fucking awesome, man. So I think, and he talks about this shit all the time, so it just stands to reason, man. Like, he's just getting better and better at it just because he puts in the reps. That's how comedians, I keep hearing him say put in the reps. It's just like anything. You put in the reps and you get better at it. So
get those gains.
Yeah, and just as fans of his podcast, that's so much of the shit that he talks about, man. So you're guaranteed.
I love how, what I like about Rogan a lot is how he takes, like, the stuff he talks about in his podcast, the stuff that he's involved in, and entails it into all of the joking. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like that. Yeah, I just felt like Trigger, like, I could relate so much closer to him because I listened to, the podcast. I just know a lot of shit that he does. So everything that he talked about, like, was key right on. Like, I already knew the background of it, which made it even better. So, and I like how he gives a little knowledge the whole way. Like, he, like, kind of, like, educates you as he's joking around. You know what I mean?
Like, with people like us who listen to damn near every podcast he does, you can see the bits develop. Like, you see when he starts talking about it, and him, and especially when you get his comedian friends on, you hear him do it all the time. Like, they start to go off and riff on something funny, they're testing that on their buddies as a bit, and you can tell, like, if it goes well, then that shit pops up in their comedy act in the next few weeks, and it just makes sense. But yeah, I think that for sure the best comedians do just they make commentary on, of course, all of them are just making commentary on what's going on around them or opinions they might have, but the really good ones, and I think this is what Rogan's fallen into now, are able to put, like, a little bit of a message behind it. Like, I don't want to flip on Netflix and watch a comedy special and get a fucking lecture, you know what I mean? But it is cool when he drops out, like, some weird moon landing shit or some conspiracy or something, man. I love that. So, yeah, I think that's where Rogan shines. He's a little more intellectual comedian. And
for sure.
You see where it comes from, too. He talks about Dan Carlin, those old comedy icons who did the same thing, really started that.
Yep. Yo, and I also, my week didn't just end right there. When I got that ticket, it was pretty dope. I had a real good fucking Tuesday. It was dope. But another highlight that I had this weekend was actually Friday. My buddy Jared, that we talk about, that we're probably on the podcast pretty soon, he bought me a ticket to Tech 9 at the Red Rock Amphitheater, so that was fucking badass. So
Sweet,
Friday night we went there. And there was a good crew of us, probably about, I think there was 8-10 of us. And man, we were drinking 151 fucking Malibu rum, man, and we were all fucked up before we even got to the concert. Two of us had to get number checked, like literally had to read back the numbers on our ticket because we were almost too fucking drunk to get into the concert. But it was dope. Red Rock Amphitheater, if you ever get a chance, it's even worth coming from fucking New York to go to that fucking theater. It is badass. It's the fucking Red Rocks, the way the music bounces off, how steep the seating is so steep. It, like, when you're drunk, it's almost somewhat fucking hazardous, honestly. Mm-hmm. But it's so steep that you literally, like, are in the stage. You know, like, you're just stacked right up on top of each other. You got a nice, clear, crisp view of the stage, and it's a real nice fucking amphitheater. I haven't been to one like that, and that was a really awesome experience.
That's how stadiums should be, man. So is it, the seats, are they put right on rock, or is it built up, or what? I don't understand.
Well, what it is,
I've never seen it, so.
What it is the theater's kind of up in the mountains a little bit, so it's the stage itself sits down in front of you at the bottom, and then you're sitting all up along the bank of the mountain, and you got these red rocks just fucking stabbing right out of the ground on both sides. They're massive. You got some small ones in between, but when you're sitting there looking at the stage, all you have to do is look up a little bit, and you see the lights of the city fucking over the horizon. Like, it's fucking epic for sure. I'll throw some pictures up on I got a couple good ones, so I'll throw a couple up on
that sounds
Instagram.
Too cool, man. And that's how like a stadium or an arena or whatever, any place you're gonna have a performance should be set up. Like the one I always think of, I've been to a few concerts, not a ton of big ones. I've been to a ton of sports games, and some of the stadiums, like, you can be a couple rows back and have the worst view ever, and then some of them, like the one that always comes to mind, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers play, where Pitt plays their football games, all that. You can be in the legitimate top row. I've been there and still have a great view of the field. It was a football game, so I'm sure it depends what you're going to see. But I've seen a few games and shows there, and no matter where you're fucking sitting, those engineers just crushed it. Like, it's great. So I don't know, why they can't do that with more stadiums, but maybe it's just...
Dude, like, I'm telling you, though, the view and everything was so dope, and the engineers definitely did a good job. The rocks, you could definitely tell, were part of the sound effect. Like, the sound was bouncing off some of the big-ass fucking red rocks sitting on the side. Mm-hmm. Made it just sound so dope. The artists just want to bring it, just because it's such an epic place to have a fucking concert, and people are so pumped. They fit so many people in there that
how many people
it's just fully brought.
What's the size of the venue?
I'm not sure actually size of venue. I didn't look into all that. I'd have to fucking look that up. Honestly, there was a massive amount, but there wasn't like. There was a shit ton of people. Like, I can't explain that enough, but there also was still, like, rows up high, like, a little higher above us that were empty. You know, so it was like, I don't know if that's just because there's no assigned seats. It's kind of just benches, and you just jam to the front, so I don't know if everybody was just jamming themselves in. But we were sitting pretty far back up on the top, and... I could even see the sweat on the motherfucker's forehead, like, still from up there, you know what I mean? And we were ways away. It was a good time, but navigating those fucking things when you're, like, lit up on 151 was not the easiest thing, man. Like, if you took one wrong step, you were fucking going down, like, not stopping at the ground. You're going fucking a few feet down, like, shit. Actually, Jared, he took a fucking tumble. It was rough for him.
It happens, man. It's a hazard to go into a show like that. The risk of getting fucked up. But
dude, 151 fucking Malibu rum is rough business. It's a good time, but rough business the next day.
You had the pineapple juice too, man?
Yeah, we had the
That's
pineapple
funny.
juice.
I remember drinking that shit with Jared before, I think it was prom, but it might have been some other bullshit dance in high school. We had that
That's
mix.
hilarious.
We all loved that song back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Caribou Lou, that was Tech Nine's hit. So, yeah, he's a wild motherfucker, though, just like a weird guy in rap. Like, he's really taking his own lane. It's like, you can't really call it underground rap, because it's not
Oh, no, yeah.
kind of underground, but he's carved his whole own niche, his own label now. He's got people signed to him. The whole deal. What the fuck was his show like? Like, I gotta think was there a lot of fire and stuff shooting off?
There was a lot of fucking lights, I mean, for sure, going all over. He was, I think he introduced his son. There's two of them, so I'm not sure. I'm not super familiar with both of them, but one of them had his son come out on stage. They were fucking amping it up, man. Like, they did not stop. It was such a smooth transition from all the other artists to Tech Nine. Like, I literally thought Tech Nine was kind of on there already. I was fucking pretty drunk, so that was some of the issue. But like, they just moved so smoothly on. The way they introduced each other wasn't like a regular concert that I've been to. I've been to a lot of like Ozzy, Van Halen, fucking Linkin Park, all those type of fucking concerts, and they just, like, you could tell a difference when the next artist comes on. You know what I mean? The lights even go out, or they all go on, and they're changing the stage up. This was literally just like smooth, like swinging in, swinging out. And then there's still, like, the fucking music was jamming, the fucking tunes are cranking. They were supporting each other, like, to the fullest. That was pretty dope. You know, like, each artist, I know usually they say something nice about each other, but these guys, like, supported the shit out of each other, you know, to go on to the next artist, and it was a damn good show. I was definitely impressed with it. Maybe if it wasn't so fucking 151'd up, I'd have more intel on that shit. But it was a damn time, man.
It's all good.
The theater itself is badass. Like, you don't even need to go there really just for a fucking concert. Like, if you just want to go there and check it out, like, it's fucking, it's epic. Like, they have some serious fucking concerts down there. I went real quick down and look at the history when the bathrooms are underneath the Red Rock Amphitheater, like down around underneath, and they got like a whole history thing set up down there. It's just real dope, man. They did a really good job.
Yeah, that seems like one of the more iconic places to catch a show anywhere. I mean, of course, maybe there's like more famous places in New York or LA, but that one just seems to be one of the most unique for sure.
They say it's one of the places that the artists bring it the hardest. You know what I mean? Like, just because, for one thing, weed's legal, so it's fucking being burnt everywhere. It's just like, you could see, like, I got pictures in the crowd where it's just like fucking steaming up. Yeah, it's great. And they just, I think it's something about just being kind of in nature and in the concert at the same time. Like, that was the dopest part about this, is like, I've been to Mohegan Sun and shit to concerts there. I've been to a few outdoor concerts, but not like this. Like this, you were like in the rocks and shit. Like, it was big, but it was small at the same time. It just was, it felt real right, man. It was awesome. Like, I couldn't sell that bitch enough. You gotta go there.
That's great. Oh yeah, I can't wait, man. I've wanted to go there forever now. That's a good deal, but back to what you just said, man. The weed, because it's basically harvest season here. I was going to ask you this shit anyway. Is there even a harvest season in Denver, or is it because people are cranking it out indoor and greenhouses pretty much year-round, right? I mean, I guess greenhouses would still have a distinct harvest season, but isn't weed just kind of growing all the time on cycles? Like, don't people just rock with like 12-week cycles in warehouses and shit, so it's always cranking out on schedule?
Yeah, there's
Do
definitely.
you know about
hell
that?
Yeah. Hell yeah, like, just at my jiu-jitsu studio alone is in the same building of 2 grow houses. So we have one grow house on one side of us, one on the other side. So when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, straight up, it's fucking weed smell everywhere. Like, everybody even breaks each other's balls. There's a few of us that smoke, so, like, we're kind of, like, hesitant on our jokes because we're, like, pro it, and everybody else is kind of, like, from the military and shit, and they're, like, breaking balls about the stoner. So it's a little different there. But they grow all year round. Honestly, Jared, our friend there, he just harvests in. He grows in a greenhouse. He just harvests in, but he's thinking, and I know a couple other people are thinking, that just harvest in to start it inside now, you know, because the winter's coming up. And in Colorado Springs, like, I know a guy, I don't know how well it's going to work because it's going to be my first winter out here, but he's going to actually just do one of those really nice, tight plastic job greenhouses for the winter because the sun's still, there's so much sun out here. So, and in Colorado Springs, you don't get a lot of snow. We don't have to worry about it a lot, like it'll snow and then it'll melt away. At least that's what I'm told. Until I experience it, I can't fucking say, but...
Yeah, courses can be different winter to winter.
Yeah. So anyways, there are people starting, like, definitely grow season is much longer, if not all year round out here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that it's legal, you know, like, if I owned my house, I could dedicate a whole fucking room to it, you know, like, that'd be my room, yeah. So I definitely see a lot of that going on, too. People just fucking growing all the time. I noticed that since I've been out here and I've been talking to a lot of people, like, there's certain people's houses I go to now, meeting up with new people and shit that have like 6-8 people living in the same house, and it's only so they can grow that many weed plants. Like, like fuck, like jamming each other in there, it's just crazy shit. It's a good time. It's definitely something epic to check out. But
so yeah, I've for sure heard of that because whatever the limit is per person, I don't know if you know it off the top, like 6 or 10 or whatever. Yeah, 6 plants. Yeah. So then they can double up. They have 6 people. They can have 36 plants. That's a fuckload of weed right there. Why are people
especially
doing
getting
that?
a pound off a plant? I mean,
yeah,
these people out here because they. Yeah, so usually it is.
Are most people, because we know a lot of it's going on, people are growing it there because it's safer and then shipping it or taking it to places where it's still not legal and selling it, because it would be great to have that much weed, don't get me wrong, but like you said already, you already have more weed than you know what to do with just off stuff that your buddy's growing. So why are people doing a little collective thing? Why are they grouping up in a house? Because it's not so they can just have more weed for themselves. You know what I mean?
Usually what I found is Colorado is made up of a bunch of people from all over. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people are from like native here. So what I see is people get as many people as they can together. They grow and then they go back home with it. You know what I mean? So and because Colorado's so saturated and a lot of the markets out here out west is saturated, it's brought over to the East Coast. For sure. That's definitely what I'm seeing. Probably just about everybody I know that I've been meeting, it brings it out to the East Coast. There's some that don't, for sure. You know, it's illegal, but it shouldn't be to do that because really mostly they're just sharing it with their friends and family on the holidays. Honestly, that's like when everybody.
But a lot of people are definitely growing it there and then taking it places to sell too, for sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, which they should be. I mean, that's how a bullshit law like this eventually gets pushed out when it's just overwhelming against it. That this doesn't make sense, especially when you have the split now. You got legal states next to illegal ones. Everyone knows, and this is a lot of politicians and shit bitch about it. Like, of course weed's gonna come over the border. It comes over anyway when it was
dude, if
illegal,
none of the states had weed legal, it'd be coming over the fucking borders.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Like, driving over, New Hampshire doesn't have the same taxes we have, so a lot of times we live right on the border with New Hampshire here. You go over there to get liquor just because it's cheaper. Like, it just makes sense. So
yeah,
you could buy your weed illegally or grow it illegally somewhere and just have a higher risk, or grow it legal in Colorado and go sell it somewhere. So you're still taking a risk, but not as much. So it makes sense to me, man. And
dude, you want to hear a risk? I just sorry to interrupt, but
no, break it down.
There's a huge fucking thing going down right now, and there's a guy that I just met up with. He's pretty badass. He's trying to raise like GoFundMe pages and shit like that for the guys out in California. The fires out there in California, dude, they're taking over crops. And the thing is, you got like there's a little history behind this because before it was legal in California, they had like somewhat under the radar growing fucking fields, you know. So they had massive amounts of money poured into these fields.
Shit, everyone knows about it.
Yeah. So it's way up in the mountains. They have nasty fucking roads and shit to get there. And they've been growing there for years, and now those are burning down. And those people that have those facilities out there have no insurance because it's not federally backed up, so there's no insurance company that's going to take them and, like, help them out. So they have no insurance, and they straight up lost everything. Like, they lost their houses. A lot of these farmers have full-on families, like, living just like a farm back in Vermont, fucking on the side of their grow houses, you know, they got the fam there, everything's all cool until it all fucking burns down. Like, literally, there's guys that have lost, I forget what it is, it's like some odd $100,000 in his home, in his land, in just the soil. You know what I mean? Just the soil that they got out there was, like, ridiculously expensive. So if you see anything that will help support the growers out in California, definitely check into that shit. Hit it up, you know. Might help them out a little.
I didn't even think of that, man. I've seen, it's been all in the news. Everyone knows about it now. It's just crazy wildfires out there. And I haven't heard any kind of real explanation for why it's happening besides that it's been extra windy in conjunction with the fires. So I don't know, man. I don't know a lot about wildfires. We have that shit, of course, hits home with us. We mentioned before that I had a good friend who died fighting wildfires. So it's all like, and that was he was around the Montana, and he was all around, was he like Idaho? Wasn't he all in?
Well, he died in the
states?
Strawberry Fire in Nevada. He was in Nevada when he died.
He was in Nevada, but he was going back for a few seasons. I always, just because of him, he was going out there, I heard him talk about it, would identify like that part of the country with it. I didn't know the wildfires got that intense in Northern California.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have in the past. That's really what I'm saying. If this is like a totally new thing or not, because of course you already hear it's got something to do with global warming, stuff's drier. Maybe it does. I don't know. The unfortunate thing with that is anytime anything bad happens, like we heard it with the storms too, those hurricanes that fucked up Florida, all that. As soon as something bad and weather, climate related, people want to say climate change. Probably, but I mean, I just don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe it was just coincidence that it was a windy couple weeks and some fires started. Because I haven't heard shit on how they started. It almost always seems to be some random thing, like an electrical fire, someone tossed a cigarette butt, just some bullshit. But unless it's just we're getting the stories twisted, which you never know what to take at face value from the media like that. But it seems like it's a hell of a lot worse this year than it's ever been before. I've never heard about fires in California like that.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because the media fucks everything up, like you said it. Like, it really does. It blows it up. The only reason I say that is because Jared, the buddy I live with here in Colorado Springs, about probably 4 years ago, he lived in South Lake Tahoe. And when I drove there with a buddy, we flew into San Francisco, and we drove to South Lake Tahoe. So we saw a good, like, portion center of California.
How far is Lake Tahoe from San Francisco?
About 300, and I think it's like 350, about 350 miles. But it's a pretty nice fucking drive, honestly. Once you get on Route 50 close to Tahoe, it is just gorgeous. The views that you get on that highway are intense. But, like, the other thing that we saw on that highway was fucking full-on mountains that were just crisp, just burnt right up. Like, maybe 1-2 trees standing there, black as fuck, just... It was crazy to us because we came from Vermont. We never seen any forest. Like, we seen maybe a small fire, but nothing like a whole fucking mountain burned down, and then across the road, the other mountain's green. You know, like, it was pretty intense. And the further and further we got into Tahoe, like, the more and the bigger the fires were. It was pretty intense. So I asked Jared, and that's when I really started learning about the fires, honestly, was probably about 4 to 5 years ago when I went to Tahoe, because I really had no recollection that was going on. Like, a whole fucking mountain would be on fire, honestly, living in Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know how extreme it is or how different it is from 5 years ago to it now, but it seemed pretty damn extreme and crazy then. You know, like...
Yeah. Like I said, I never thought of it. I always thought of places like Idaho and Montana for big fires, but they have for sure been going on in California for a while, probably for decades, not hundreds of years, maybe longer. But I'm just curious if it is way worse, or if maybe it's just like having a bad winter, man. You have a bad fire season some year, and this is a bad one. But shit, and this goes right back to the media thing we just hinted at. It seems like we're having a fuckload of, like, big disasters all around the country. Like I said, those storms in Texas and Florida, and then the fires.
The NFL.
And of course, that NFL bullshit. It's quite possible that it's just the narrative they want to throw forward at this time, instead of like staying on the North Korea or whatever, healthcare, whatever other bullshit story. Maybe, alright, there's some bad shit happening, we're just going to take advantage of that and push it, because the reality is there's always bad shit happening. Of course, like everyone, I mean, there's crazy bad events like the Vegas shooting, but in terms of storms and natural disasters, there's always somewhere's getting flooded, something's happening. I mean, and whether or not we hear about it isn't up to us, unless you're just digging for that shit all the time online. It's what gets put out to us. So maybe that has something to do with it. I really can't say. That's the kind of thing, like when it's happening right now with the fires and stuff, we really have no idea. It's the kind of thing you got to look back on and then go, oh, maybe that was just a bad year, or maybe that was just a news story that got picked up for this reason, or whatever. But right now, who knows, man? Just what you said is the important part, that there are a lot of people getting fucked out there, man. How entire, like, housing development's gone. Shit, man, there's this little dude in the same division as Demetrius Johnson. I just saw a random article on an MMA website. Pictures of his feet are all burnt up, and he'd won a gold medal in the Olympics, I believe, for Mexico. He lost his gold medal in the fire, and his feet got fried. So I don't know if he was literally, I just saw the pictures, running out of his house as that shit was burning, but whatever happened, he actually stepped on something hot enough that it burnt the fuck out of his feet, and he didn't even have time to grab the gold medal. So
what the
that sucks
fuck
for him. Yeah. So
unfortunate.
Shit. But yeah, it's heavy stuff out there for sure, man. And I didn't even think about the weed angle, which is obviously, and I'm sure that's happening to other crops too. Like, wine
but these crops
up in Northern California and other stuff that has to be getting burnt. Like I don't know all the exact crops, but I'm sure they grow hella shit up there that is getting wiped out.
From what I know about him is, like, the guy that I talked to, actually, he calls it the white market, which I like that term, but he sells weed on the white market, legally, and he does.
Brought that up last time, man. We're keeping white market as a GMV term. That's GMV vocab now. We're co-opting that shit immediately. Yeah, so he's on his white market shit.
He's on his white market shit, and like he got to meet those guys, and like they've been around so long, like. He said when he went to the fields, this road was real fucking long. It was rougher than shit, muddy-ass, tight road. And he said he looked up and he saw a bunch of, like, it looked like a junkyard in the middle of the damn woods, right? And this is how long these fucking guys been up there. He gets to the field, he starts talking to people, he gets to know them. He goes, hey, so how come you guys got all these cars at the top of the mountain? He goes, oh, that's for when the feds were going to come back in the day. We just dropped those cars, give us some more time to deal with that shit. Like, literally, they have still shit all booby-trapped and set up there.
Yep.
So, like, that means that shit's been up there for, like, 10, 50, anyways, those fields,
decades,
that's probably,
man.
Yeah, decades,
Yeah.
real established up there. So it's definitely rough.
That whole Humboldt County area, don't they call it, like, I'm sure I'm going to fuck it up. I think it's like the Emerald Triangle or something. They have some name for it. Like,
oh, really?
3 counties around. It's Humboldt is the one everyone knows, but where a fuckload of weed has been grown for a long time. Think about it, man. That's kind of our version of, like, Colombia or Peru. Like, we've all seen those documentaries where they grow the coca plants for all the cocaine.
Hell yeah.
And then I've just seen, like, the little documentary or video here and there. They had a little setup out in the jungle. They have the fields, got some peasants working for them, all that. Basically, we have our version isn't quite as fucked up as theirs, because we're doing weed, not coke. It's not like you don't have, like, slave labor going on. I mean, I'm sure that has gone on.
Little kids fucking chopping leaves.
Quite as harsh, but we don't have to smuggle it with submarines and all that shit. But that is kind of like our version of it, man. America's a big ass place, dude. We got a lot of diversity in everything, including our criminal activities. So yeah, it's interesting, man. But yeah, that now that we're shifting, basically with the way I see it, there's still distinct black markets and white markets, but we're all kind of in like a gray market in most of the places. Because, man, I was actually talking to a girl we went to high school with. I just ran into her while I was working a couple weeks ago, and she'd been, I won't drop any names, you'll probably be able to guess who it is. Just, they were, I think, in Alabama or something. Her and her boyfriend moved down south for a while, and this came up. She had a vape pen that she let me in. It was the same fire tank one that you had. And are those from Colorado or what? The actual fire tank brand, or are those
No,
California?
I don't think so. I think it's just from California. I haven't been able to find any fire tanks out here at all. All I find is actually
seems to be the most common one that gets sold around here. So obviously someone shipped it. It's wherever they're getting shipped.
Well, it's coming from Connecticut, so I'm not sure if it's made in Connecticut, but I do know back home where I was getting a bunch of tanks and where I knew they were coming into Vermont was from Connecticut, from the medical side of Connecticut's marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe it's a Connecticut brand.
Yeah, it might be.
Either way, all I was saying on that is that she said down in, I think it was Alabama or Georgia maybe, but down south, everyone had the vape pens there. And I keep seeing them. It seems like as soon as the first one I tried was from you. The first time I bought them was when I was out in Portland, Oregon. As soon as they pop up, and now they're just everywhere instantly. Like everyone's got these, and that's great for me. Like I said it before, man. As much as I enjoy smoking bud, I probably like the vape pens better. They're more convenient. Shit's cleaner. Again, I'm always gonna want to occasionally roll one, but these pens are great, man. So I'm fucking pumped that they're everywhere, and it seems like it's just getting easier and easier to get in either black or gray market areas versus that white market like you got in Colorado. Yeah. Obviously, it's easy to get them there. But it's cool
and they're fucking dope here, man. They're definitely a little different. Definitely up the game a little bit. They got more of a real extracted oil rather than being just blended together and put into the fucking container. You know, see this one for Cherry Diesel for instance right here that I'm burning on. I think this is Evo Lab brand, and it's real. It's as pure as the one that I can find around here for being in a pen.
Extract?
It is CO2 extract. I'm pretty sure this one is.
I've been meaning to ask you there because when these extracts really started popping off a few years back out west and there in Colorado, butane was the dominant thing to extract with it, and then propane also seems to be used commonly. I saw that when I was in Portland. I haven't heard anyone break down the CO2. I don't even know how it's done. I
don't know how it's done, honestly, myself. Jared's actually going to try it out, so I'll let you know here soon. But the CO2, the only thing that I hear about that is just that it's much cleaner. You know, the stuff evaporates differently. It actually, I think, is better if you know how to do it, if you have the right equipment and stuff to do it with. They say, I've heard that it was better. I don't know if that's just because it's cleaner, if it's easier, or what it is. But I think mainly it's just a health thing. Because when you do it with those gases, it's just like you got to wait for all that stuff to bubble off. And not all of it does, you know. Like I've seen it done with I haven't seen it done with propane at all. I didn't even know that, honestly, that they did it with propane, and it makes sense to me.
Exact same process as with the butane. It's just using propane as a solvent.
Yeah,
to extract that shit.
But the butane, I think, also is just more dangerous than the CO2. I mean, you got the butane and the propane are probably just out in the air, depending on if you got a nice sound facility to do it in, depending on where you're doing it. I've seen it done some sketchy areas, you know, when it first started.
The reason it's so dangerous and why I got so much negativity around the butane is when you blast butane through weed, and the old school way to do it. They have all better rigs and machines to do it now, of course, but the one we all were familiar with when this just started popping off was packing the weed in some kind of tube and literally blasting the butane through it, and that's, like I said, that's your solvent that's extracting the shit. Butane is in its gas form like that is heavier than air. So if you do it inside, that shit collects like you can't see it, but it would collect all on the floor level, and then something sparks it, which apparently it's very easy to spark. You blow up the house just like a damn meth lab or something. So that was briefly a bad look on the whole extraction process with weed, and it's still, dude, all around. And I see this side of it, honestly, as much as I don't agree with it. That is a bad look for this whole white market that's coming out in America, because people who are totally familiar with a joint, maybe they're from back in their college days or when they were a hippie back in the 70s, they don't smoke at all, they don't give a fuck, you know, some old guy, it just is what it is. The opinion in general is definitely softening on weed, but when you see someone, they take a little news clip of someone dabbing with a rig, which most people don't even know what that is. They see him heating it up with a torch and then dropping a dab on it. Even though that is just marijuana extract, you got to admit, again, even from our perspective, it is a different thing. You know what I mean? It's a lot more potent, and is a different way that you take it in for the most part. So, do I think it's bad at all? Of course, fuck no, man. I think it's awesome. But I could see how someone who doesn't care at all about smoking a joint would get turned off by that. You know what I mean? How it might
for sure.
might delay the whole process, but
yeah, I mean, for sure, it's definitely seems sketchy. I mean, we went from just rolling a joint to just flicking it with a lighter or lighting or packing a bowl to now we have like torches and fucking little like this is what I've actually been liking, and it took me a little while to get it just because it was in a syringe, right? I'm getting oil in a syringe. For one,
yeah, I saw those
could use it
in Portland.
Yeah, I
can
use it
way
to refill.
Dispense it.
It's wicked convenient because for one thing, I could refill my tank because I say I buy these tanks. You can just screw off the top. You can refill them real easy. So therefore, I'm spending a little less money not buying the tank. But other than that, like I could I could roll a joint and put the oil on the outside of the joint. I could squeeze it out on top of a bowl.
Exactly.
It's very
just a dispenser, but man, this is the funny
thing.
It's
when
you say that, I know
shit.
Exactly what you're talking about. I didn't actually buy one, but the guy at one of the dispensaries I was at in Portland showed me one of those things, told me all about it. He's like, this is just a way better way than trying to use a dabber and grab little bits of oil. Like, that's just a mess, man. I have some oil I've had since I was out there. Some sour cookies stuff is great. I haven't even used it up just because it's annoying to deal with. Shit's all sticky, man. Sometimes it's gooey. Sometimes it's hard as a fucking rock. Like, it's just annoying. So I've just haven't even messed with it. But the little syringe thing, even though, like I said, know exactly what you're talking about, as soon as you say syringe, the mental image that comes up
it's like,
is
what
junkie
the fuck?
Shooting up with a needle. So just to be perfectly fucking clear, you can't shoot weed. For anyone who knows nothing about this whole, we're purely talking about a little plastic dispenser. You can't shoot any kind of weed. And as far as I know, if they make that shit, man, that might be where we have to draw the line. No, you can't shoot weed in your arm with a needle. But when you say syringe, you're talking about just a little thing to give measurable doses. Just
usually
an easier way to handle
250 to 500 mils in it. You know what I mean? It's not even a fucking whole shitload. It's just real convenient and easy and to deal with. And like there is ways too. Like don't give up on that oil, and you might find that having the oil in the form that you have it in might be better because what I get in the syringes is dope. It tastes real good, but it is also has terps put into it and stuff to make it taste better. Like it's a little synthetic-like because it has to be real liquidy. You know, if you're getting good quality oil like you're getting, or like I could probably show you some of this shit right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's fucking dope oil that I got. It's sugar. And that's kind of hard to deal with, too. It's real dry. It doesn't stick to anything, but it rubs into everything. It's kind of a fucking pain in the ass.
This is one of the things that kind of annoys me about all the names. This just is what it is. Like, there's like 160 different names for weed. It's like commonly used slang. We all know them. We use different names in different parts of the country. But with all the different names for the oil, and it's just because it confuses people who are new to this shit, they call it like shatter, wax, just, of course, oil, sugar, all that stuff.
Well, it's also a different way it is. You know, like shatter.
But it could all be the same BHO extract. It could all be the same butane extract. It's just about exactly how the extract came out, what kind of plant material used to come in. So it's all the same stuff, but we talked about this at the beginning when we were just learning about this shit. We weren't sure if they were different things or not. You know what I mean? Like, is one more potent or one? No, it's all the same type of oil. It's just different consistency of it. So that it's kind of annoying if you don't know the fucking terminology. That just is what it is, man. With
I do honestly want to try. Go ahead, Zach.
I was going to say people like their damn nicknames, dude. That's like when there's way too many of them.
Dude, remember about like probably a little even longer, back when we were in high school, like that was like the only way some people would buy weed is if it had a good name. Like literally, like I'm not gonna buy weed unless it has a name. Like what the fuck are you talking about? For the longest time, I didn't give a fuck about the name, long as the weed was good. So it was a little different for me, but everybody would come up to me because, you know, back in high school, everybody dabbles in it a little bit. So they come up to me and be like, "Yo, what's the name of it?" They don't fucking know. Whatever you want it to be. It's Jedi Warrior today. There you go.
Yeah, exactly, man. And people, yeah, when you have a black market, it just lets you make up whatever name you want for something. It's not that's like we always said. There are very few strains like the Sour Diesel or something that we ever got that were actually the strain someone said it was. Like, dude, if you play the telephone game with some preschoolers, they can't say the simplest sentence ever and go through like 5 kids. So what the fuck do you think happens when you go through 5 drug dealers? You think you get the same name on the other end? Hell no.
Dude, one of the most consistent like bud strains that I think I've ever had, and it was only for probably about 2 years when I was back home right before I moved out here. And even with my buddy Jared, who grows dope-ass weed, he doesn't have very consistent strain, but it's that green crack we had back home, man. That was like probably the most consistent. Like I saw 6 cycles, 6 different growths, you know what I mean? He had 6 different batches, and I mean, you can vouch they pretty much were the same. Like they taste the same. That smell when you broke it up, the way he dried it was like right on. And I wish there was something out there like that, so you always had something you go back to. Like that's one thing I've noticed out here. Like I haven't been able to find a good strain, and then when I do, like I'll find like I found a green crack, they won't have it next time I'm out there. You know what I mean? They're not. See, I'm a guy that when I find something I really like that I can always rely on, like the green crack, which was a sativa, which gave me energy, but I felt ridiculously good. I love that strain, and I can't find it. Like I found it once in a while. It's iffy. Why can't in a market like we have in Colorado here, we can't get a good quality strain? You know what I mean? Just to have it. Kind of like the saltines of the weed world. You know what I mean? When you get sick,
I look at it 2 ways, man. Because think about it. That's very true. You get a pack of saltines, they're going to be the exact same shit every time. But if you get some real food, and I've noticed this over the last few years, heavy as I start eating more and more unprocessed foods, like whatever. You go to the farmer's market. My buddy sells, he makes cheese right off the farm, sells it at the farmer's market. Shit is fire. But it's always a little different, especially like, and that's just the nature of cheese, man. The shit gets aged, it changes a little bit, but like a lot of other, just think like stuff I'm calling real food, you know what I mean? Stuff you're going to get at the hippie store or the farmer's market, whether it's something like cheese or vegetables or bread, whatever. It's always going to be a little different when you're using the more natural processes to make it. So from just my perspective on food, I gave that up a while ago because it was annoying at first. Like maybe you get some raw milk right from the farm, it's not going to taste the exact same week to week, and definitely not season to season. So the more unprocessed something is, the more variability it seems like with taste and flavor with food. Seems to hold up with weed too, but that's so, like I said, I kind of look at this 2 ways. In one way, I think it's not a bad thing at all, because it's a fucking plant, man. There's going to be some variability plant to plant, but that's where the extracts really shine, and that goes back to what I was saying before, where I really like them. If you get an extract, that takes a lot of the plant variability out of it, because even though you started with the whole plant, which might be a little different, you're isolating one certain part of it, so you can be, like, I'm assuming your experience with the oils and the pens is a lot more consistent than the actual bud themselves.
Oh yeah, like the pens for sure are very consistent. Like they have the same strains too.
Exactly.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like the weed strains are like nobody wants to grow the same shit. This guy wants to grow fucking white shark, and then he's growing green crack, then he's growing Buddha cheese, then he's growing diesel. You know what I mean? Like my thing is why wouldn't it be worth it to have a good strain so that you are like the saltines of the industry of that market?
Well, I think that'll happen more and more with these big warehouse grows. Like you say, you get a big brand with millions of dollars behind them, and they want to grow their White Widow and grow it the exact same, have the same yield. They just get it down to a fucking science, have all the variables in check, and you'll be able to get like, all right, I go buy this brand of White Widow. It's going to be pretty much the same as the stuff I got before. But even with that, it's like any plant, man. Like you can go to the store and you want to buy a GMO Monsanto apple, it's going to be damn near the same every time, and there's still going to be a little variability, you know what I mean? But if you go and buy apple cider, or apple juice even better, that's made from those same apples, it's going to be pretty much exactly the same each time. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I think there's always going to be a little bit of variability with the actual raw buds, which I'm not looking at as a bad thing at all. And the more, like I said, for lack of a better word, the more natural, the more organic and hippied out they are with how they grow it, the more variability you're going to get. The same way you get more variability with the organic apples that only come in seasonally versus the GMO ones that are there year-round looking exactly the fucking same every time. So, yeah, I think it's really, that just shows where the extracts have their advantages, the vape pens and all that, or getting the actual bud itself. But I do hear you, man. I'm surprised more companies aren't more about that, like trying to grow the exact same strains in the same way, have that shit available year-round, just like you do with any other kind of fruit or vegetable or plant that's grown for a profit.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this white market goes, man.
It'd be nice, like, the only reason I say it is because I've been dying for a couple strains, and I wish they were as good as I remember they were, but I've been killing for some strawberry cough and some sour diesel, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, sour diesel was like one of the most popular fucking buds out there, and it was like the best. It had such a distinct taste. Like, even if it was grown from a different person, it still had like the most, like, the just very, had that real strong sour D taste, like, no matter who grew it. I don't understand why it's hard to find. Same thing with strawberry cough. I know that's a little more rare, and not even a lot of people have had it, and sometimes if they have, it wasn't the good kind, or it wasn't grown or cured properly or whatever. But I've had some damn good strawberry cough, and I can't find that shit out here. All I find it in is exactly what you're saying. I find all that type of stuff in these extracts, in the oils or the fucking, even the edibles and stuff, but I can't find it in just raw bud form. And I'm kind of like you are. Like, I believe, I really like the vape pens because it's convenient. You can do it wherever, especially these ones here. They hit super hard. Like this Cherry D right here I have is 88% THC. That's fucking pretty high content, man. You take a couple rips of that, you're feeling damn good. So I'm definitely liking that. And like I wanted to say before, like these grams of oil that I'm getting that are hard, like the sugar and the oil that you have that's hard to deal with. There's a utensil out there. I don't know if it's a proper term or not, but I call it the nectar collector. It's a dope fucking term. It looks badass.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the brand that makes it. Yeah, that's how.
Is it? Well, I got
a
a different one than like I've seen. I don't know where the fuck.
I bet what it was. I bet Nectar Collector was the original brand, and because obviously people.
And then now it's all generic.
Yeah, you broke down what that was before. It's just a different type of dabber.
Yeah, that fucking thing makes all that oil like pain in the ass type of stuff worth it. Like all you have to do is literally just dip it right in. But even with all of this, smoking all this oil and shit, what I find is I still really enjoy sitting back and just burning a joint. I don't know if it's the meditation part of it, because you roll it, you fucking sit back.
The ritual, man.
The ritual, like I definitely miss that, especially being out here in Colorado, just having so much oil and all these extracts and different types of pens and shit like at your disposal.
Man, hold up. I gotta stop you there. I think you're getting a little too spoiled with this shit, man. You just said you missed it because you basically said you missed rolling dubs because you have so much oil to smoke. So
honestly,
all I'm gonna say, coming from somewhere where we still can't roll down to the shop and get it unless you have a medical card, you're doing okay. I hear you.
It's like a fucked up thing to talk about. Like, I know. I am. I'm just living in the oil, man. I'm getting more and more hookups, the more people I know. Like, this dude's like, oh, I got oil, it's real cheap, So the next thing you know, you're getting more oil for cheaper, it's better. It's like, fuck, it's abundance out here. But
it's that white market, man.
It's that white market. Yeah. It's nuts out. Man.
And it's fascinating to watch it progress, and I think like the stuff you were just wondering about is in like why is it so damn hard to get a consistent strain of something that everyone knows. Like everyone knows sour diesel. That's like one of the most common strains ever. And the reason I think it was like that is just because it's got such a distinctive smell and flavor. Even when everything was illegal, we could all still tell. Like, some guy comes through and says it's sour D. Anyone who knew what they were talking about could actually verify that. So, whereas the other stuff, you can say it's some, like you said, Jedi Skywalker bullshit. Cool, I guess so. Sure.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with it. But I bet as this progresses, and maybe, I don't know, maybe a decade from now, whatever, 15, 20 years, it will be a lot easier. There'll be the Pepsi and Coke brands of weed that everyone knows. You go, you're going to get that exact same shit from the same company for the same price. So,
yeah.
We'll see, man. But yeah,
Maybe that's where I'll
shit.
get into it. I've been trying, man. I've been pushing out here. Like, I'm trying to see what it's going to take to get into that market. It's a little sketchy because, it's not federally looked upon as a legitimate job. It's illegal, all that good shit. So it's a little sketchy.
One thing I've been curious about, I wanted to ask you, because I know it was on your mind as you go out there, but because, as you just said, it's not federally backed, so one of the biggest things that affects is you have to do all your business in cash because the banks won't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pay the Colorado taxes in cash? That's how
you pay it all. You pay it all in cash.
That's how it works, right? Because Colorado's taking in all that tax revenue. Dude, they just must have rooms and rooms and rooms of duffel bags full of cash right from weed, because that's how no one can write you a check for it, because it's all done. All the business has to be done in cash. So
definitely do.
How the Colorado government and the other legal states, how they're dealing with that must be such a fucking shit show, man.
Dude, it is. You can literally see it. You could see it. Like, I just know it from, like, that guy I was talking about before that I met. He's a real good guy. He's trying to help me out with a lot of my stuff. But he is in the white market. He deals with it. He helps hook up different farms to the distributors and all that shit. So, like, he's in the middle of it. He actually deals with the money. Like, he shows me.
The middleman for the
farm, like, I've seen him. Like, he has a picture of a blue tote. You know what I'm talking about? Like probably about an 8-gallon, 10-gallon blue tote.
For sure.
Full of cash, dude. Like, because they can't do anything else. So he literally just goes in with a tote to pick up the cash to bring it to the other guys. Like,
that's what you're forced to do right now. It's
and like, he feels sketchy. He gets like 2 or 3 of his friends together. Like, he even asked me if I'd do it. Like, they throw some bud your way or whatever, but he just needs people around him to make sure that the fucking money gets in there, because there is some people that know what's in that tote, and that's all they have. Like, all these like, especially right here in Colorado Springs, Emerald Fields, there's only a couple of them that you can go to that are recreational. Emerald Fields and Maggie's Farm right there in Manitou Springs. They're like security guards, around everywhere because there's so much fucking cash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're loaded up, man. They got usually the machine guns, their fucking handguns, they got their tasers, they're loaded, they're ready to go.
I never even thought of that angle. That's a whole other thing, man. There's got to be a whole little sub-industry of just security for the weed and the money that goes through it all. But back to what you were saying before, man. Of course, moving out to Colorado, it's crossed your mind, like, maybe I want to get in on the weed business. What part seems most viable to you? Like, what's the most interesting? Would it be growing? Would it be, say, like, trying to open a dispensary, which I'm assuming would be one of the more expensive ways? Would it be, you know what I mean? Would it be extract? Would it be not growing but getting the shit, extracting it, and then selling the oil, or what? Like, what seems like the most interesting niche in that weed market for you?
To me, honestly, I think after, like, doing the growing and the extracting together would be a good gig. I don't like the like, say, having a like a shop itself, because there's just so much involved with that. For one thing, like you just said,
much red tape,
you got the security, you got the fucking insurance, you got to deal with, like, the federal government being able to come in and shut you down. Now, I understand that's the same thing with the farms and shit, but it's just not as apt to happen. You know what I mean? There's a
lower risk just because you don't have as much invested in it. Like, you don't have to have a commercial shop and all that shit. Yeah. So, I feel like it'd be much more enjoyable. You know what I mean? It'd be enjoyable to have that company. I feel like the people that I talk to that run those shops around here are slightly stressed out all the time. Like, they had the feds come in just to make sure everybody in there at the moment was of age. So they had to shut the whole fucking thing down. Everybody's, like, lined up and had to go through just for the fuck of it. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell kind of shit's that? So I guess not dealing with that shit and worrying about that on your back would be probably ideal for me. Plus, I just love the growing, man. I love talking to the girls as they're growing up and
the fucking just looking at the different buds and the way they're developing and the nutrient levels, like how you could just change a plant so easily. I was not aware of that until I moved out here. My buddy Jared, he's a fucking green thumb and a half. Like, he can literally be like, oh, it just needs a little bit of this type of nutrients, and boom, he gives it to it. 3 days later, the buds are twice as thick. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty dope. I love it.
It is
and the
cool,
extracts
man.
too, you know?
Well, that means for sure, whether or not you're doing it for profit or personal use, you're going to have to get on your growing shit in the next couple of years out there, which kind of goes without saying. Just even if you weren't like you are, if you weren't even that interested in growing it, you'd have to do it anyway, just on principle. Come on.
There's not one person's house I've been into, because honestly, I don't know that many people out here, but I've been doing some serious networking and stuff, and I've probably met 15 people anyways, been in probably 4 or 5 different houses, and each house has a weed plant in it. Like, no, like even if they look like even if they look like some type of lawyer, like I went into this lawyer girl's house, and it was just for like a conference or whatever, we were just talking real quick, but like totally didn't look like she'd be growing weed or anything. She's in a big business suit, nice fucking house, nice car, you know. Walk in, there's a fucking there's at least there's like 8 little guys and like 2 big plants off to the right. I'm like, what the fuck? It's just cool, you know. Like it like actually makes it more comfortable for me because I'm like relative to what's going on. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's cool.
Like I said, that transition, man, black, gray to white market. That's cool. That's very cool. So yeah, and it's awesome that you're right in the thick of it out there as it develops, because man, it's only going to last so long. Either the bubble's going to burst with all this cash, which I don't see happening, or it's going to have to go fully legal, because everyone wants a piece of that money. So we all know where it's going that way, but we'll just have to sit back and see how long it takes.
Dude, it's got to be fully legal sometime within the next 10 years. I mean, come on, this shit is just getting out of control, especially with like the bullshit. I mean, I don't know if it's just because I'm in Colorado or what, but I hear so much shit about Trump and the fucking weed out here. Like people like that's one thing I wanted to say a little earlier, like not to get too far off on this shit, but like, do you think a lot of the media and stuff is directing their attention to all this, like all these disasters and happenings because they want to pull us away from our attention on Trump? I mean, honestly, people are fucking freaking out in the background, you know, those guys that are like right into the fucking bullshit with the government and fucking they hate Trump, and they're just like real severe into it. They almost ruin their lives because they're fucking so stressed out about it. But like those guys keep fucking feeding it to me, because there's a couple guys out here that I met that are like that, and that's like one of their strong points, is that all this media right now, attention is drawn away from him for a reason, because it needs to calm him down, and that the shit that he's doing is really pissing a lot of people off.
Yeah, that's what I was hinting at earlier. I didn't even I still don't want to talk about that orange-headed prick, but I was saying that's a possibility. Do I think that's the case? Honestly, I have no idea, man. Like, cause just like we said with the fires, we don't know. We'll have to look back. Maybe in a couple months, you'll look back and be like, yeah, like if say, all right, I'll just do a hypothetical. A couple months from now, we got troops on the ground in North Korea. We were attacking that little dictator, you know, taking him out of power and all that. Looking back, it's like, oh, maybe, they were putting a lot of focus on those storms and those fires, so that didn't get the attention. And it like, you kind of saw it happen with stuff like Syria and Libya before. Like, it gets hints in the news, and then just depending which way the public's going, that makes the focus shift or stay on whatever the story they're talking about. So yeah, I'm with you that that's a possibility. I don't really have an opinion on it at this point, because who the fuck knows, man. So I would say chances are good, that there's some fuckery going on, just because there always is.
There's always fuckery going on.
As to what it is right now, I don't really have an opinion, man. I'm just sitting back, and like with the weed thing, like I said, just go right back to the weed. I haven't heard shit about legal weed markets, except like little like hints here and there, just because Massachusetts and Maine are working out their legal programs right now. But even about them, really don't hear much in terms of stuff like in the past few years. It's a pretty common news story, either California, Colorado, or Nevada or something just about how they're working out the whole white market system there. Honestly, of the last few months, I haven't heard shit about any of it. And that's like, that, you know me, man. That's the kind of story, if I see that, I'm going to read it and at least see what they're talking about. Like a new type of dispensary or a new law, something about the taxes and the cash. I've seen nothing. So I do think that has something to do with who's in power in the government right now, the whole Republicans. And, of course, the president. They're not really interested in it. I don't think they even want to give it a second thought right now.
They probably don't want to get into it too far in a negative way because of how much it blows up, and they just don't want to help it out, so they're probably just sticking it in a neutral zone, you know?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. So, like I said, I'm just fascinating to see where the whole industry will go because the ball is rolling and it's picking up speed fast, and I really think, especially given who's controlling the legislation right now in the federal government, it's better if they're not talking about it versus talking about it, because if they are speaking on it, they're not going to have positive shit to say. We know that for sure. So
yeah, that's
as long as we don't hear much coming out of there, it's kind of just like let the states do their thing. I think that's great. So hopefully it just lets things proceed. If they probably won't go as fast as people like us want them to, but you know, that is what it is, man. Things take time. So
oh yeah.
Let it progress as it does and see where it goes. But yeah, man, I think that's a good place to wrap this one. Another nice little Sunday episode. Heavily, as you can obviously tell,
heavily medicated.
Both been just by the subject matter, both been indulging in these little vape pens like we were talking about. They're great, man.
Oh yeah,
convenient. So.
Dude, honestly, I'd be hitting the Nectar Collector if my girlfriend wasn't so. In fact, she loves that thing now. Honestly, real quick, just some shit for some people out there that think differently about the oils and stuff. She smokes a lot of weed, and she's done it for a long time. But the one thing that she gets from smoking a lot of strains, not all strains, is a little anxiety and stuff. Like, it builds up in her. She gets slightly wary of situations or agitated.
Especially
when she's been
sativas, right?
Especially the sativas make her do that.
Anxiety worse.
Yeah. But because of like what you said, because it's more consistent and it probably just extracts some whatever it is that's making her anxiety alert. She's been hitting this and she has never felt better in her life. She said she's like never had such a clean high. Like, she likes it, she loves it. She doesn't get that weird feeling in her chest, she was saying, and that's just recent, too. Like, she's just been smoking it for the past week because she really didn't think very highly of it because, you know, you got a torch and shit. It's kind of, at first, it seems difficult, but
talking about before,
easy.
Yeah.
It's
different. And
yeah, it's just different, so you got to get used to it. Yeah, and she got turned off for a little bit, but now, man, she fucking loves it. She just loves how clean and easy it is because she doesn't need to smoke a whole bowl or do a joint. She just does two oil hits and she's good. You know what I mean? She's set, and it's just much more convenient, easier, you know.
Beauty of the white market, man.
Beauty of the
I really do like that term, as you can tell, but yeah, that's I think that's a good place to wrap, man. So if anyone wants to get in touch with us for any reason, Green Mountain Views on Instagram, gmv802@gmail is the email, and thank you for listening. We're out.
Oh yeah, peace.